Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, I'm Jamie. I read a lot of books, I crochet, I have kitty cats, and today I am summing up the second week of January. It is the 15th, not the 14th, so I'm not sure if I'm setting a pattern for which day I'm actually recording or not, but so far, close to the end of the week, beginning of the next one. Not too bad. I am currently reading a couple books, so I'll show you guys what I'm currently reading first, because these are what I'm reading during the reading sprints. I can't show you the audiobook because I don't have the print book, and I don't have any way to put a little thingy up in the corner, so pretend that it's up there. The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This is a long book. Sandy from Ms. Reads a Lot read it, I think, last year, and she liked it. And a couple other people have said they want to read it. Some of the people who said that actually have a copy, so that might be soon. So you might be hearing a bit more about the Goldfinch just because several booktubers kind of in a row sequentially will have been reading it. I don't know, maybe it's a trend. Maybe it's just that, we get inspired by each other's videos. Maybe that is what a trend is, actually. Anyway, Goldfinch is good. It is heavy. I don't know if I'd say it's super triggering for most people, but if you had a hard childhood, if you have PTSD from a hard childhood, this is one you might want to buddy read rather than going it alone because it might be a tough one. I do have friends I will not be recommending it to because of that, because they're just not going to enjoy it. So there is that, but if that's not an issue for you, it's a heavy book, but Tartt doesn't make her characters wallow in suffering for too long. I appreciate that. Because there are quite a few times where I'm like, okay, a lot of authors, the way this is going, I'm dreading the next chapter because it's just going to get that much worse. No, it doesn't. There's things that happen so that it doesn't get as terrible as it could be. Bad things happen. A lot of bad things happen. Enough bad things that it's similarly bad to some of Stephen King's books as far as the amount of badness, though not with supernatural creatures. But so far, it could be a lot worse, and it's not. And I'm at about 72% right now in the audiobook. So it's still not terrible, and I'm, nearly 3/4 the way done. But yeah, it's a very long book. I guess in print it's about 800 pages, something like that. And in audiobook it is 32 hours, 32 plus hours. I'm listening to it at more than one time speed, but still it's a long commitment. And I will still be listening to it tomorrow during sprints. Another one that I'm reading, this one in print, in this copy, is a long book. And that is Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. This book I was listening to as an audiobook on Cloud Library last month. And then our library's contract with Cloud Library expired or something. And all of a sudden, halfway through the audiobook, it was no longer there. So I had to put a hold on the print book, and the only print book that they had available at our library was the large print. So look at this chunky book. Yeah, it's a 900-page book, but it is a 900-page large print book. So when I start really concentrating on it during sprints, it will be fantastic. Our sprint, you know how many pages I can finish of this book in an hour if I focus on this book? Oh my goodness, it'll be so much fun. But it is still a long book. It's 900 pages, even large print. That's still a lot of pages. I'm looking forward to it. It is historical fiction and centers around some of the important families for kind of the royal families of England. So you recognize a lot of names, but not all of the characters are starting out where they're already at court. So you see kind of how they get there as well. And that some of these families start out with kind of humble sounding beginnings, and especially considering that this is not modern times. They don't have central heating. They don't have nice roads. Things are dirty. So it's an interesting view of royal people and soon-to-be court people. So I'm enjoying it. I did listen to it all the way to 50% last month, but there were a few chapters that I probably would have gone back and listened again if it hadn't suddenly disappeared. So I'm just starting over from page 1, and I think I'm about 50 pages in. So it's going pretty fast because the first half will be a reread at this point. I have a bit of a cough. There's a thing going around. So I will be trying to talk with the lozenge in my mouth. We'll see how this goes. We'll see. This book I started this morning. The House of Rougeaux. This is a book that I got as a free giveaway book from Library Thing a couple years ago. And did I read it? No, I didn't. I decided that one of the things I'm going to focus on in this first quarter of 2024 is finishing all the books that I've received as giveaways and haven't read yet. So all of them. I don't care how long I've had them. I need to finish them and send them on somewhere, or keep them if they're amazing. But it's just getting ridiculous. And when I actually looked at it, it's not as terrible as I thought. My completion rate isn't terrible. Most of them I got off Goodreads. This is the only one I got off Library Thing. So most of my Goodreads giveaways I've actually read and reviewed. And so I found all the other ones. I think I'm still looking for one murder mystery that I always forget I got from there. So I'll be adding those to my TBRs for a while. So House of Rougeaux I had not had on my TBR for January yet. That's an addition. It is set in the Caribbean and is I guess supposed to be a family story around a family that some of them started out as slaves during the sugar plantation days on their island, and from what I gather, we're hearing the stories from an old lady that survived through all that and into the modern day. That's what I'm getting from it so far. I'm 5 pages in, so we'll see. But it is really good so far. And then The Towers of Nero, which I don't have the dust jacket for. So it is a blue book. If I decided to do the book bingo for TBR-a-thon, it is a blue book. But I think I'm doing the TBR-a-thon map instead. Since I'm almost to 10 books on my book chain. And I have half a month left. So I'm still going to work on my book chain. Wolf Hall is actually for the current link in my book chain. And I should finish it this week. Anyway, Tower of Nero is for Adventure-thon. And I will do a separate video probably tomorrow night laying out the rest of my Adventure-thon plans. I need to figure out all the side quest stuff. Because as I mentioned when I said I was doing Adventure-a-thon, this is new for me. So I'm still figuring out, okay, what am I supposed to do for the side quests? Do I have to figure out all the books now? I know if I figure them out now, and then I need to swap books, I have to earn gold by finishing books to have enough to buy a swap, basically. So I need to figure out all that. I don't think that I have to set all of my side quest books now. So that's something I need to find out. I'm going to be poking around on the Discord and looking at what everybody else is doing and kind of figuring out how that's supposed to work. I would imagine I'm not behind because I read a lot more and a lot faster than a lot of people. But I'm hoping to figure it out this week. So the next stack of books in this video, oh my gosh, and I'm already 10 minutes in. I'm definitely in a talkative mood today. Anyway, the next stack is the ones I finished. And I did read some audiobooks this week, or this past week as well. So I finished 2 Patricia Highsmith books, Blunderer and Suspension of Mercy. They were both really good. I do really like Patricia Highsmith. She's becoming one of my favorite thriller suspense authors. So A Suspension of Mercy, it's one of my 5 stars. I'm trying to think how to describe it without giving away anything, because the problem with thrillers is you lose some of the thrill if you know much more than just the basics of what's going on. Let's see what Goodreads says about it. Sometimes their blurbs are already spoiled. Okay, so oh yeah, so Sydney he's a mystery writer, and he's fantasizing about how he might kill his wife. So now his wife decides to take a vacation, and they kind of half joking, half arguing, agree that she's going to go away as if he's killed her, so that he can play out this story, get it out of his system, and maybe work out how he would write it. And I guess they've done this kind of thing before, not to this extent, but just letting him play out a plot so that he can write it. But it gets taken a little too far. And how do you prove that you didn't kill a missing person? So that is the bulk of the rest of the book, and there's some fun twists in it. So yeah, that one was my next 5-star for the month. And then the Blunderer is a guy's been suspected of killing his wife for a while. And another guy is curious about that case, and his curiosity about it gets him into trouble. And I think that's all I'm going to say about that one, because you definitely want to find out how in the book. Yeah, definitely if you're into that kind of psychological thriller sort of stuff, Patricia Highsmith, if you haven't read her, is really good. So those were my audiobooks. I think that's all the audiobooks that I finished last week, but I will pull up my Goodreads just in case, because I definitely read enough books I might have forgotten one. In the meantime, I also finished 20 Years of Growing. This is a memoir by Maurice O'Sullivan, who grew up on the Great Blasket Island. which is an island off the coast of Ireland. And it's remote. It's kind of cut off socially from everybody else. And, just kind of lost in time kind of place. So the rest of the world gets into World War I, and the people on Great Blasket Island, all they really see of it is the shipwrecks that show up on their coast and the people that they rescue from the sunken vessels near their coast. So all of a sudden they're rolling in supplies and money because all of the salvage they get from all of those sunken vessels and shipwrecked vessels, they can sell on. And they have all the food and cloth and everything that they need. It's a really comfortable living, but it's still not somewhere anyone wants to live. So by the time the author is, in his early 20s, a lot of the young people are leaving, going to the United States or going to the mainland of Ireland, or further, towards Britain, towards England. So, his friends are all leaving. He ends up leaving. He goes to Ireland and joins the Guard and, comes back to visit later, and most of the young people have left. When I was looking up stuff on Google about Great Blasket Island, it's a beautiful place. I wanted to look at pictures of it. First thing I found was there was a job offering for someone, a couple preferably, to move to Great Blasket Island to manage the gift shop. So it's remote enough that there wasn't somebody living on the island to do that, so they have to hire someone to move to the island to do that job. And there's also at least one memoir from the last kid growing up on Great Blasket Island, like the loneliest childhood or something like that. So it gives you an idea of, kind of this space. And their form of Irish is a little bit older, more archaic than the Irish Gaelic that's spoken on mainland Ireland. And there's not as much English as in Ireland. So it's just a different sort of space. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know if I'd give it a 5-star on Storygraph. I think it's more of a 4.75. But on Goodreads, I rounded up to a 5. And then Ink and Shadows by Ellery Adams is a murder mystery, kind of a cozy mystery. Although it's cozy in the sense that it's comfy sort of vibes, but in the definition of cozy where it's a limited cast of suspects, it's not so much. But it's cozy enough that if you needed to fill a prompt with a cozy mystery, I think most people would say, yeah, go ahead and assume it is cozy. I was poking around at definitions for cozy mystery, and okay, that's really not helpful. Because some definitions do include, the number of suspects part. A locked room murder, there's only so many people that were there in the first place. The party where somebody at the party killed the person. And so how many people there are that could possibly have done it. Whereas in this one, the people that are murdered come from somewhere else. So the murderer may or may not be from our cute, cozy setting. It may be that bad things have followed these people from where they came from. So it is set in a bookshop, and that was my connection between this and the Satyr Swindle for my book chain. It is part of the Secret Book and Scone Society series. And it's a bunch of ladies that get together and talk about books and secrets and eat scones at a bookshop. I think it's book 4 or 5, so it is not the second book. I was going to read them in order, but you don't really need to. I think I've read books 1 and maybe 2 so far, and then this one. I finished Metazoa. Several people on reading sprints were interested in this one. It was good. It's a nonfiction looking at how you get from like protoplasm sort of life to consciousness, and what are all the steps, and how do we figure that out, and what are some of the organisms that exist now that can give us clues as to how this happens. So very interesting. Not too much jargon. You might occasionally want to stop and just look things up online just to look at pictures and videos of the critters. I spend a lot of time watching deep sea dive videos. So for me, a lot of the critters were familiar because I watched them anyway. But if you don't know what sponges look like under the ocean, or if you don't know what various fishes and things like that look like, you may want to look at some videos and read up a little bit, Wikipedia it or whatever. But it's not at a level where you wouldn't understand it. Just you'll get more out of it if you happen to also look up things every chapter or so. So that's Metazoa by Peter Godfrey Smith. I think I gave it 4.5 or 5 stars. It is good. I think on Storygraph I was leaning more towards 4.5 stars. For me, it didn't hang together as much as I wanted it to. It wasn't like, oh yeah, of course it works like that. It was like, okay, it's an interesting set of ideas. I'm not sure if the ideas gel into one coherent whole, but certainly something to lead into a more coherent picture in maybe a future book. I finished Billy the Kid. This is a biography about Billy the Kid, who wasn't named Billy initially, and it's debatable where he was born, where he grew up, more or less, whether he lived in various places, and even where he's actually buried. So a lot of historians that want something fun to research take on one of those questions about Billy the Kid's life, because there are a lot of things that are not very well recorded about him. So this one was good. Not a gripping biography, and it's a biography, not an autobiography. So comparing this one to 20 Years of Growing, I liked that one better. That's what I finished in this last week. And I think there was one more audiobook that was actually during this week. Oh yeah, America Fantastica by Tim O'Brien. So America Fantastica is a bank heist gone wrong story that's rather funny. Main character robs a bank, kidnaps the teller, and kidnapping that teller was probably the dumbest move of his whole life. And in a really amusing way. And yeah, she turns out to be life-changing for him in a fun way. So if you like that kind of silly adventure, you might like that book. It's not one I've seen anybody else talking about, but it is new. It came out, I think, in November. In any case, it has a November sticker on it at our library. I did see it there when I was getting my library books. So it is a recent book, which I don't usually read. So this is going to be a weird year if I do a lot of audiobooks that have just come out. Because, I don't usually read books until they're old. But, I definitely recommend that one. Again, 4.5 to 4.75 stars. Maybe not a 5-star read. It kind of lost its momentum by the end of it. I really wasn't looking at, okay, when is this book going to be over, until about 3/4 of the way in. But by then I was starting to be over it. And so it was still good. Just, it was really good for the first half, and I was hoping it would stay that good. And maybe I was just hoping for too much. Anyway, so that was my previous week of reading. I will do a separate video because I don't want to know how long it's going to take for me to upload a video longer than this one is turning into. So I'll do a separate video for my TBR for this current week, because I'm arranging my TBR to be able to finish the TBR-a-thon trail map. Because I'm close enough to finishing the 10-chain book chain, or 10-chain length book chain, that I kind of want to start a new TBR-a-thon game. And the trail map is such a cute idea, so I have to try that. I was also looking at the game board, because for Dewey's, one of our previous admins did a game board, and it was so much fun. So I might just use that game board just on the side for February, just to, to have a game board to play on. I love reading game boards. There's just, somebody needs to make a modifiable game board, like where you put in different little, slots and little squares to change up the board's prompts. Like an actual game board. That would be so much fun. Anyway, so I will do a separate video for my TBR for this week, so that I can talk through what the books are and what prompt they're for with that map. And I'll put a link in that one for the map, since I'm not going to be able to show the map very easily. Or maybe I'll make it the picture. I don't know. I'm on a Chromebook, so it may be a while before my graphics get much more exciting than this. Because the last time I poked around at things to do for graphics for Chromebooks, several articles start out with, Chromebooks are not actually made to do graphics. And that was, articles that were kind of from the Chromebook people. If they're saying that, I'm like, I may have the wrong laptop to be able to be doing some of what I want to do, at least without paying for programs. So eventually I'll figure it out even on a Chromebook, but it will be a little while. And in the meantime, I will do that video. It will be coming out sometime in the next 24 hours. We'll see how long this one uploads. My previous video, just for reference, took 3.5 hours to upload. So I'm being mindful of, this is going to take forever. And how much forever do I want it to take? That one I actually had to be at work in the morning, and so I almost had to just leave it until morning and hope that it didn't time out entirely. So I can stay up as late as I want. This one will go, and then hopefully I will do another video about my TBR tonight, in which case you'll see both of them coming tomorrow. Or early this morning tomorrow for all intents and purposes. Talk to you again soon. Hopefully you'll see both videos soonish. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of the books that I've talked about or are interested in them. And I will talk to you again soon. Bye, guys!